Welcome today. We want to talk about Amma and our experience of getting a hug from Amma recently in Holland. She's the hugging saint. You've probably heard of her. She travels all around the world hugging people, and she has an ashram in South India where many of our friends have gone to serve. And she also has many humanitarian projects. Sometimes she'll hug 20,000 people in one day. We just saw her in The Hague in Holland, and there were probably 3 or 4, 5,000 people there, and they all receive a hug in one day. What would you like to say about Amma, Sondra?
Well, I would say she's like the female Christ. She's unbelievably pure. She's from another dimension, and you can tap into her. You can, even if you can't go see her and get a hug, you can be reading her books. So you go on amma.org, and the first time I ever met her, I went to a hairdresser, and she said, "I've never felt this much energy coming out of anyone's head in my whole life." And one time I was very depressed and from my mother's death, and I wanted to see her. And 20 miles from the hotel, I started in the car feeling relieved. I said to my driver, "Oh my goodness, my depression is lifting." And then she hugged me, and it was over. Another time I went to her, I had a very bad diagnosis from a doctor, and she totally healed me. So she's really powerful, and you can tap into her energy by reading her books and praying to her, and she's the real divine mother in the physical body.
Yeah, so what actually happens when you go to see Amma? What are the benefits, and how do we receive what she has to offer? She's a fully enlightened soul, fully realized being, and people go in, especially in the East, to pay homage and receive darshan, they call it, from a being such as that. And her darshan happens in the form of a hug. So people go to see her. There may be thousands of people there, and everybody gets a little number, a little, chit. And then when your number comes up, you get in a line and you get closer and closer to her, and you receive a hug from her. And it's very organized.
Tell them about the meditation.
Yeah, so before that, before you get your hug, of course you're sitting waiting. I think we must have waited from like 8 in the morning till about 2:30 in the afternoon to get our hugs. So we were there sitting and meditating and saying mantras on our malas for quite a long time. And during that time also, she gives a satsang, they call it, a lecture. She gives a talk, and it's interpreted in many languages. And usually that talk is very profound. And I got a wonderful takeaway from her talk this time. She was saying how even if you are living a righteous life, you're living with your spiritual practices, and you're living a very straight kind of righteous life, things can happen. Like you could be the best driver, you could be very conscientious on the road, and you could be going down the street, and some drunk driver out of nowhere comes and you have a collision, right? So even though you're very diligent and you're very with it, these things can sometimes happen. Well, how do we prevent them from happening? And her answer was grace. It's like, yes, you can do all the things you need to do to lead a spiritual life and have good results in your life, but the ultimate safety is the grace of the Divine Mother, the grace of God, the grace of, universal intelligence in our life. So we have to always be asking for that grace. We have to be giving that grace to others. What blocks the grace? Well, anger blocks the grace, guilt blocks the grace, fear blocks the grace. So we have to undo those things in ourselves and be closer to this divine providence that is the grace in our life. And in that way, we're protected and surrounded by this safety. So that was what I took away from her talk this time. And then the other thing she does before she starts giving the hugs is she gives a meditation. And this meditation this year was very powerful, very powerful. And she started by saying, when you're breathing, your inhale and your exhale, and you're conscious of that inhale, you're conscious of that exhale, you say in your mind, Ma on the inhale and Om on the exhale. So Ma is the inspiration of love that you're taking in, and Om is the expiration of light that you're emanating. So you just imagine taking in love and emanating life, taking in more love and emanating light.
Ma.
So Ma on the inhale and Om on the exhale. And you can even do this in the mantra breathe today. We're going to play the mantras, but you can also think as you're breathing, Ma on the inhale, Om on the exhale. Love coming in and light going out, right? That's a really wonderful meditation that she gave us, and you can use it anytime. And I've been using it during the day as well. If I have something a little challenging, or even at night, if I can't sleep, I start doing these rounds of breathing where I take in Ma and I exhale Om, and within a few minutes I'm asleep. So you can use that mantra for a lot of practical applications. And this is something that we received from the Divine Mother, from Amma. So it's got her energy and her blessing in it. So the other meditation that she gave was visual. And in the hall where she's sitting, they have these big screens, right? So the screen in this one meditation had all these white flower petals floating down to earth. Thousands of flower petals just constantly floating down like rain, and covering the earth and covering the ocean and filling our body with these petals, filling it with these soft white, divine flower petals. So that was part of the meditation. And then the final thing was when we're saying the Man, we're saying the Om, and we're seeing the petals come down, and then we sort of fade out, and we visualize a triangle on our third eye with a pearl dot on our third eye, and this dot is kind of pulsating, and we just focus on that divine love, that divine point on our third eye. And that's the completion of the meditation. And I think that it's so simple, but it's powerful, because it's coming from the Divine Mother. It has the power of the Divine Mother. Just like when we say Om Namah Shivaya, that has the power of Babaji behind it, has the power of Shiva behind it, because it's a mantra given from him to us. And this is a mantra given from her to us. So the lineage, has to be honored. And when you honor the lineage and you have reverence for the teacher and reverence for the master that gave you the mantra, then the mantra is energized. It's activated. So you can use this Ma Om directly from Ammaji and to us, and now we're transmitting it to you, and you can use that and have that power even though you weren't there. So that's what we're doing with the mantra.
Yeah, and I was very happy because I showed Amma the new book, The Only Answer, which is dedicated to her, and she took it close to her and blessed it, and I was so happy about that. And this book is how to use the Divine Mother energy to have miracles in your life and solve all your problems. So I know you'll love this book. There's one chapter where I wrote some of the quotes from her, which I found in other books, and we recommend that you go on Amma.org and order some of her books so you can get her teachings.
One series that's very good of her books, there are many different volumes, is something about children, Awaken Children.
Awaken Children series.
Awaken My Children, and there are a lot of her direct quotes in there. We recommend you get books that have her direct teachings, not necessarily one written about her by someone else. Although some of those are very good, you want to also immerse yourself in the ones that her words directly, because those have the most power to transform you.
Okay, here's something she said. Each one of you has the beauty and power of a saint or a sage. Each one of you is an infinite source of power. Yet when you see a saint or sage, you recoil, saying, no, this is only for special people. I can't do it. I have my own little world to bother about, and that's enough for me. Divinity is none of my business. This kind of attitude will never help you to come out of the small, hard shell of your little ego. That's why the Vedanta tells us to contemplate the Vedic dictum, I am Brahman, which means absolute reality. I am God, I am the universe, I am absolute power, the totality of consciousness, which makes everything beautiful and full of light and life. So that's one paragraph.
Yeah, and this I am statement, it's so powerful. We work with people to overcome what we call their personal lie, which is a negative thought that you put after I am, like I am bad, I am weak, I am not wanted, I am whatever that is, a failure, whatever negativity you put after I am, you're saying I'm manifesting that, right?
Be careful.
So we want to undo those negative things we put about I am, or I am not worthy to be in touch with my true divine self. That's what she's saying here. When we're in the presence of a saint, sometimes we feel our insecurities come up more, and they're coming up in order to be released, right? So the purpose of a saintly person or an enlightened being, when we have their darshan, when we're in their energy field, is that they're liberating us from lower thoughts, which may be coming up in order to be released, and they're helping us ascend into our God-created self, our true self, our I am self, and this is the benefit of going to a spiritual master and having a quote-unquote darshan, a meeting face-to-face with them, is they give you the energy to rise up and undo your negative thoughts.
But you can have her blessing even if you didn't meet her in person, just like you can have Jesus' energy if you pray to Jesus, or Babaji's energy if you pray to Babaji. So we're encouraging you today during your session while you're breathing to tune into her. I'm going to read another paragraph. When someone insults you, he is insulting you from his past. And when you react, you too are reacting from your past. Both of you have been victims of insults and have made others your victims in your previous lives as well as this lifetime. So if somebody's insulting you, you probably insulted them in a past life or somebody else. When others insult you or get angry at you, try to keep your mouth shut, imagining you are in Amma's presence. Try to feel respect for the other person, because in truth, he is doing something good for you. He is teaching you to be silent, to be patient. Feel deep concern and compassion for him. Try to see that your accuser is suffering from his past wounds. You do not want to hurt a wounded and suffering person. That is cruelty. Be kind and compassionate.
Yeah, I think this is a good lesson for when we're in a situation and someone is criticizing us or angry at us, not to counterattack back with anger, but to see it's a call for help. The Course in Miracles says there's only loving thoughts and everything else is a call for help. So if we could see that and not react and see the blessing, and they may be pointing out something, that we do need to correct in ourselves, and look at that and see, oh, why did we get that feedback? Is this some correction I need to make? Not in a vibration of guilt, but in a vibration of gratitude that you're being shown the things in yourself to let go of, to heal, to correct, right? So you develop this love of correction, and other people can be your sounding board or your feedback. So if somebody's angry at you, just give them a blessing, take it in what they're saying, make the corrections, and see it as a positive thing, which is what she's saying here. And even if they are a wounded person from something in their past, it could be, like the Course says, I'm never upset for the reason I think. So they could be upset at you, but it's something from their past that they're really upset about. And you're just activating that. So if you can see the whole picture and you can rise above the battlefield, so to speak, and you can give them back compassion and not take it personally, this is the way to do it. And Amma's giving us the pathway to avoid conflicts and avoid counterattack and all of that.
I'll read one more paragraph. You can raise 100 objections to the theory of karma. Still, the law of karma is operating in your life. You are in its grip. Children, our actions will return to each one of us, whether one is a believer or a non-believer. Karma is like a boomerang. Newborn babies are sometimes physically deformed or mentally retarded. Are such events accidental? No. Each thing that happens in life has a cause. Sometimes the cause is visible, and other times it's not. Sometimes the cause is not to be found in the immediate past, but in some cases it stems from the remote past, like your past lives. Nothing is accidental. Nature is not accidental. Creation is not an accident. Our past is not just the past of this lifetime. The past is also all previous lifetimes through which we have traveled in different names and forms. We must be alert and careful about what we do today because we do not know what effect it will produce tomorrow.
Yeah, this is a most basic explanation of karma, which is the cause and effect of our thoughts and feelings that we experienced before. Karma is just a replaying of those thought forms and those effects and from our past. Could be past lives, could be this life. That's why as rebirthers we study a person's experience all the way back to their birth, their conception, their time in the womb, their birth, what happened after they were born in the postpartum period. We call that your birth script, and we take people back to that in order to see what happened, what thoughts did you form, what beliefs did you make up about life based on those experiences at your birth, because they affect your relationships, they affect everything. And now Amma's saying even past lives, you could have experiences where you bring them in to this life and they reproduce, they replay, and then of course you could end up with traumatic situation at your birth. Maybe, like she said, some people are born deformed or they have a disability at birth. Well, those are not accidents. They came from some karmic cause from a past life. So we have to see that karma is just the playing out of cause and effect. And what are those causes and what are those effects? And we have to take responsibility. And that's what we do in breath work. We're trying to cleanse the mind, cleanse our being of any past, notions, any past thoughts, any past feelings that are negative, that are affecting us now, and cleanse them, forgive them, bring them to a neutral state. And that's the purpose of a spiritual master, to help you erase or neutralize your karma.
So I think you'll enjoy this book and get a lot out of it. The Only Answer, it's on Amazon. And now, Marcus, why don't you show them this painting on silk we have of Amma?
Okay, so many years ago, Sondra got this wonderful painting of Amma, and we bring it to our trainings and we have it up on the altar, and I'm going to give you a little view of it now. And thank you for joining us for Mantra Breathing, and we're making this video our last day in Lithuania, and we want to thank you for coming, and we'll be broadcasting from Bali next weekend, so we hope you'll join us there. And I'll show you this wonderful painting of Amma. Here we go. Where did you get this painting, Sondra Ray?
I can't remember, it's so long ago, but I commissioned it from somebody, obviously, and I just don't remember who the artist was.
Yeah, it's so powerful, and it transmits her energy so well. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week from Bali, and God bless you all. Bole Baba Ki Jai.